Hey guys, how's it going? It's Philip at Trade Genius. So in this video, we're going to take a look at the Bitcoin price action and see where we might be headed to this week. We'll take a look at the weekly close now that we are on a new week and see where those levels lie at. We'll also take a look at how the altcoin market is looking in comparison. So let's dive into this video.
Trade Genius.
All right, guys, so we have the weekly chart here, and remember 2 weeks ago we noted that we had like this engulfing bearish candle, and if you notice, we've had that from the top, and then every time we've had that, we've seen some decent follow through since then. We're here at 11,000, when we double topped around 11,700. That had several weeks of follow through to the downside. Back in May, we had another one of those candles. That was a very long trend down, the longest segment of just continuous downtrending on a weekly time frame, from May all the way down to where we bottomed out in June. And then we've had another one here. The thing to note though is when we're getting these engulfings on the weekly is what's happening. We're contracting in length of time that we're spending going down, and we're also contracting in the amount that we're going down in percentage terms. So as you can see here on this engulfing, for the first time after an engulfing down, or bearish engulfing, so we had a big red candle on the weekly, we have a green weekly candle print. We haven't seen that in the past since the top. And now we're working on today. It got a little bearish, some selling, and so we'll take a look at that a little bit here in the video. But this is kind of in line with what we're seeing, is that things are getting compressed, and so a lot of times we'll see that when we're putting in a bottom and a rounded bottom, you don't really get the capitulation move that a lot of people are expecting to see. So on the weekly, if we zoom in, so basically guys, what we're looking for here is the next weekly close, whether it's this week or next week, but this close is going to be kind of important to determine how much more either downside or upside to expect. So the levels that we really are kind of keying in on is, you notice we've gotten a close here at 62.69 or 62.70. The previous week close was 64.98. So we've got about, that's 64, and that's almost 6,500, and we're just under. So it's about $130 difference there from about 62.70 to 6,500 roughly. All right, so that's going to be an area in this area here. So call it, if you want to call it 6,500 or 6,400, 6,450. In that area, we're going to see just a general area of resistance. Okay, now if we close above that level, either this week or next week, that's going to be pretty bullish, and I think that's probably going to then test this current downtrend line, because what we've got is we've got two different things going on. We're currently in a larger descending wedge, and then we are also in this smaller triangle that's forming and holding. So obviously, you want to have the best risk reward right now. Testing this lower trend line, entry area around the 6,100 or so, that's going to be a good area for risk reward on a swing trade. And also to as we get into this level here, if we zoom up the next week or two, 6,800 is going to be pretty stout resistance. Breaking above that, I think, would be extremely bullish at this point in time. But again, bulls have a lot of work to do because they've got this upper trend line of this descending wedge, which is overall is a bullish pattern. But we basically are just kind of, like I said in Saturday's video, we're kind of chopping. And so obviously when we're in this mode of range type trading, then you just want to buy the lows and the highs in the range, and it's really that simple, because that's where your best risk reward is going to be. If we kick down to the daily time frame, and so basically I have these lines drawn of just support resistance levels that I key in on, and largely since for the month of September, we've come down. There's a large range on the monthly bar, but if we look at like the last couple of weeks, we really haven't gone anywhere. And so again, I think like your best risk reward, obviously, when you get down to these levels like here, obviously, you know, there's a lot of fear. People don't want to really buy there, and then all of a sudden you do put in a bottom. But we've broken back down there, so that's why I'm looking at. It wouldn't surprise me if we take out these lows here at 61.20. It wouldn't surprise me if we took those out. What would be really bullish if we took those out and then we closed back above them on the daily. That would be a sign for me that that's a legit entry for a bounce, and then we see a move up higher to these resistance levels again. But keep in mind, we could range here for a bit until we see a move to the upside. Now, one thing to keep in mind though is the volatility index. So if we take a look at that chart, so remember, this is the volatility index, and every time it dips, you know, I draw a blue line because a decent sized move ensues. So this last one, we had a dip and we got a decent move up, but wasn't big, like jump out at you on the chart big. And now we had dipped again here over the weekend, and we're, you know, pulsing down. That's a decent move. So again, you want to be cognizant of when this volatility gets small. You know, that basically means the ranges are shrinking, and then usually a decent move out of that type of shrinking volatility happens, and that's what we continue to see. So we have seen that to the downside here, and we're gonna, again, I think even though things are shifting over to bearish mode and short term, like on the 4-hour time frame, it's definitely a sell mode, and there's definitely a play to short a bounce, and we have that in the room. But you know, there's also a play for the long side too, and that's because of this kind of this ranging environment that we're in. So again, I think we're looking at just kind of a choppy environment unless those levels that I showed you previously start to break down. But I think right now it's kind of in that mode of consolidation. Another thing I wanted to show you guys is this next chart. And this is, you know, we're always kind of in the lab looking at new stuff, and this actually is an indicator that we will be coming out with. And right now I just kind of have it set up where you see a lot of sells and buy signals. Just kind of ignore those. What you're keying in on is when it switches from sell to buy or buy to sell. So I marked those, and you can see that we've, you know, going back to even July, I just took this 4-hour chart and just kind of showed you that we've now fired a sell. And when we fired a sell, you know, like back here in July, that was around 65.91, and that bottomed out around 60.80 or so. So that was a decent sized move. Then it swung back to long, and that went from 63.39 approximately to a high of 84.91. That was a big move. And then it switched to a sell back in July. End of July, it switched to a sell at about 80.96, and that bottomed back out at about 58.76. Now you're not going to catch the entire top and bottom of the move, but this thing gives you good setups to get in and get into a decent move and trail your stops. Back in August, it went long and caught that move up to about 73.20. So you were basically catching a move that in this area of 66.50 on up to about 7,400. Then it said to get short again. That happened on a decent move down. And so you were shorting around the 7,000 plus level. That dropped down to about 6,200. So this thing catches moves. And so I just want you to be aware that thing fired short. And again, there's in the room, we'll post that entry level. But you know, this is now short term. What we're looking at is kind of a little bearishness. But I think we're just gonna, you know, this range here, we've got this range of 65.84 down to 60, you know, call it 6,200 or whatever. That could hold things for a bit. If 6,200 breaks, that's going to be, you know, obviously I think the fear level is going to increase, but keep in mind that I don't think the bottom falls out there. In fact, I think that's a real tricky level. And so we have, you know, I'd be looking for a long actually on that break as opposed to like getting super bearish. So anyway, I just want to show you guys that we will be releasing this at some point in the next 4 weeks. I like this indicator a lot, especially on the 4-hour, and you know, I think it'll be helpful for you guys. So anyway, stay tuned on that. And that's pretty much it for this video. Other than I will show you guys the alt market, how that's been looking. All right, alt market, if we look, this is the month of September. Obviously, Bitcoin, this is Bitcoin in the purple line just to give you a comparative analysis. The movements are relatively the same, so the alts are continuing to be like a leveraged Bitcoin position. And so Bitcoin's down about 10.67%. Alts are down more at 21.26% for the month. So again, same type of movement, just more leveraged type position relative to Bitcoin. So this trend line here is from larger move, and that's going to be key. Once we get up there, breakout of that, I think actually will put in a decent move for the altcoin markets, just based on the market cap trend line breach, which I've showed you guys is pretty powerful indicator. But right now, they are attempting to put in a bottom. This actually isn't a bad spot to start looking for some longs on altcoins. But again, if Bitcoin breaks those levels, then this is going to probably descend rather quickly, probably twice as much losses as you'll see in comparative to Bitcoin. So, but this isn't a bad spot to start looking with a tight stop for some of the stronger altcoins out there. So anyway, I thought I would show that to you guys as far as the performance analysis with altcoins. Still a leveraged position type relationship towards Bitcoin. All right, guys, so that's it in this video. Thanks for watching. Please hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you on tomorrow's video. Take care, guys. Bye.
Trade Genius.